Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and we are finally doing the off-road comparison with the Raptor and the TRX. This is gonna be the craziest video I've ever filmed on the channel, and for this special occasion, I wore my special attire, aka the socks and sandals. But anyways, let's get into some quick specs with both the trucks, then we'll just get right into the off-roading. This is gonna be a two-part series. So in the first part, I'm gonna give you guys off-road driving impressions with the Raptor and the TRX side-by-side comparison. And then the second part of the video is going to be a timed lap with both of the trucks, where I'm gonna see which one is faster around an off-road racetrack that I have set out here, which is gonna be some pretty cool stuff. And that video will I haven't decided which video is gonna have the jumping in it, but one of the videos is gonna have some jumping in it. So you should probably just watch both of them. Let's get right into it. So let's first get into the specs that matter with both of the trucks. So starting with the Ram TRX here, we have 11.8 inches of ground clearance. We have 35s from the factory, and we have, well, you guys can't see it here in the front. We'll go to the rear so you can see a little bit better. We have the Bill Stein Blackhawk shocks as an active system, and with this whole setup, this has 13 inches of travel in the back and in the front. Now, popping over here to the Gen 3 Raptor, we have 13.1 inches of ground clearance with this truck, 37s from the factory, and you can see a little bit better here, we've got the live valve from Fox, 13 inches of travel in the front, 14 inches of travel in the rear. So we have a little bit more ground clearance with the Raptor, but we have about the same amount of travel with both the trucks. So things should be pretty interesting from that perspective. And then finishing things off from an engine perspective, we'll go back over the TRX. We have a supercharged 6.2 liter V8, goes through an 8-speed automatic transmission. It's good for 702 horsepower and then 650 pound-feet of torque. The Raptor has a twin turbo 3.5 liter V6, goes through a 10-speed automatic transmission. It's good for 450 horsepower and then 510 pound-feet of torque. So the Raptor is down on power quite a bit compared to the TRX, but this truck weighs about 5,600 pounds, and this truck weighs about 6,300 pounds. So there is a weight advantage with that. Let's get into the off-roading. We're gonna start off in the TRX, if you guys are wondering. Baja mode, and then I held the traction control button for 10 seconds. Everything is turned off, and this thing just launches so hard every single time. There's obviously a huge acceleration difference between the Raptor and the TRX, right? Even though the TRX weighs substantially more, it is quicker, right? 700 horsepower is 700 horsepower. But something that I'm noticing here with the TRX is, even though I've got the tires air down relatively low, and we're at 30 PSI with pretty much everything, I still do feel the bumps. And still feel a little bit through the tires. I'm wondering if it would be better if I kind of put these down to like 25 PSI, but I've got the Raptor at 30 as well, as you guys will see when we do the driving impressions for that. But first part of this little course, I guess is what we'll call it, it's kind of handling to an extent. But then also it does slightly test ground clearance because you've got some ruts here. You basically have to have just at least 7 inches of ground clearance to get through this. I know that because I took a Mazda CX-30 through this, and I just scraped like halfway through, and well, nothing happened. Also, this right here is icy and muddy, and I mean, it's kind of fun to go through, but it's also kind of scary, especially go through it quicker. But you guys can see the TRX gets really good grip, and you know, it absorbs things pretty well. And the nicest thing about the TRX is just the acceleration, right? The fact that you can just get up instantly pretty much. You never have to worry about acceleration with the TRX, right? If you want to get up to a speed, just boom, happens instantly. You do feel the weight though at the TRX. It does manage it very well, but you definitely feel it. Just plowing through the mud. But now you guys can see coming through here, I mean, the speeds that you can get up to in this truck are just completely insane. Like, the fact that this is from the factory is just completely mental. And the 8-speed automatic's really good with the shifting. You guys notice I'm doing a lot of engine braking here. When it's muddy and stuff like that, you don't want to dive too deep into the brakes because you're just gonna trigger the ABS system, and then you're not really gonna get any braking. So you're gonna want to engine brake mostly with these kind of trails. Now this trail right here, if you guys don't know, tests the travel, tests the suspension and the shocks and the ground clearance. If you don't have a lot of ground clearance, you'll bottom out. If you don't have a lot of travel, right, you'll hit your bump stops. If you don't have good suspension, you're gonna need a back surgery after this. So that's kind of what this trail really does. And so for the two Baja trucks, right, it's the perfect trail to test out the handling. Right, and the shocks and everything. Something to mention with the TRX is the steering is relatively direct, but there is some on-center vagueness with it. That's probably because the truck is four-wheel drive, right? And so you do get a little bit of vagueness through the steering. And you do have to kind of work the wheel around a little bit. More than what you'd expect. Oh, here's a big bump. Woo! You can see it just soaks that up really well. But it's not just point and shoot with the TRX. You kind of have to muscle, because of the weight and because of the steering, you have to muscle this around a little bit. But once you learn how to muscle this around, it's such a fun truck. It sounds amazing. It absorbs everything really well, and I mean, as you can see, it's just the speeds which you can go through trails are crazy with this. This truck definitely requires a really good driver. Now, I'm not saying I'm the best driver, but what I am saying is if you really want to take full advantage of the TRX, you have to be a good driver. You can't be a bad driver and just hop into the TRX and try to, you know, go all out on it. It's not gonna do it. Bird. Okay, I always feel bad if I because you know what happens sometimes when you're off-roading. I always feel bad if I run over birds. But you know, overall, again, like I said, absorption with the shocks and everything, really good. Speed is crazy. You do have to wrestle with the truck, and that's part of the fun with the TRX is you get, you know, part of the experience from the fact that you do have to kind of wrestle with it, right? You do have to learn how to throw the weight around and all that. So it is a little bit different. This is our jump section.
Good.
Gotta make sure that we're good to go through. Okay, first gear. Woo! Scraped a little bit. Full compression with the shocks there. It lands super smooth with the jumps. Super smooth. But you guys can see, the thing about the TRX is it's super springy with the jumps. So it goes like down full compression and then just like hops. So you get really good air with the TRX. It's always an interesting experience when you jump it. But yeah, with that being said, let's hop into the Raptor. We'll talk about how the Raptor drives, and then we'll kind of sum things up with the driving impression video. Starting off in the Gen 3 Baja mode, everything off just like the TRX. Not as quick with the acceleration. but I do love the sound. And I just realized that I might have the tires lower on the Raptor than the TRX. So there is a tire discrepancy. I've got these at 27, 28 with the PSI, whereas the TRX was up to like 30. So that might be part of the reason why the TRX, because this feels a lot smoother. And, you know, I think part of it's the shocks, right? Fox does make really good shocks that seem to... You know, even if they're not necessarily the best for on-road use, they always seem to be better tuned for taking bumps and everything off-road. That's the thing I've noticed with vehicles that will have Fox and then Bilstein. Bilstein seems to be better kind of like all around, if that makes sense, right? On-road and off-road is good, but then Fox, it always seems like they do better just like off-road. Like they can just absorb things substantially better, and that's kind of what I'm feeling here. Like this, the Raptor feels a lot smoother going through stuff. And again, I think part of it's the tires, part of it is the shocks. Ooh, this is gross going through with the Raptor. I guess the only thing that makes this comparison not fully fair is the TRX is in 4-wheel auto, whereas the Raptor I've got in Baja mode, so it's in 4-wheel high. So that does change the driving dynamics a little bit, but what I can tell you is that Ford's new 4-wheel drive system is amazing. It is so much better than the Gen 2's 4-wheel drive system. First off, you can actually turn the steering wheel. You don't get like the annoying wheel chatter, right, where you try to turn the wheel and it just yanks back on you. And then on top of that, right, it gets really good grip and you can still feel what's happening in the front end. It doesn't go numb. Like with the TRX where it feels a little bit more numb, this feels a little more direct. Also, the truck feels, because of the lighter weight, right, there's less to wrestle with. So even though I can't accelerate as quick, ooh, kind of threw all over the place right there. Even though I can't accelerate as quick as the TRX, I feel a little bit more confident with the Raptor, right? And so it's kind of like, you know, I'm guessing when we do the lap video, the TRX is obviously going to make it up on the straightaway quite a bit, right, compared to the Raptor. You have so much more horsepower. But I think through any of the corners and through the trails, because of the extra ground clearance, even though the travel is the same, ground clearance is more with the Raptor, I think that I'm going to be able to sustain a slightly higher speed with the Raptor. And so I think that's going to give the Raptor a slightly faster lap time. That's just my personal guess, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, like coming through stuff like this, I feel so much more confident with the body lean of the Raptor because, right, it's so much less weight, especially considering the fact that most of the weight's concentrated in the front end of the TRX. Yeah, and having 37s, I can tell you, is so nice. Just that little bit of extra, right? Those extra 2 inches, they matter, okay? I think the best comparison is this feels like kind of like a sports car, right? It feels like a precision tuned sports car, and then the TRX feels like a muscle car, right? If you go around it, if you go, like, if you're in certain circumstances, right, the muscle car, ooh, that was a, see, didn't even feel it really, like it just absorbed so well. Right, the muscle car will be able to beat the sports car in a straight line in most circumstances, but the second you take it around a corner, right, sports car picks up its time. That's why, like, on a racetrack, Mazda Miata can beat something like a Challenger Hellcat, right? Yeah, this is, it's so impressive. Like I said, the rate of speed which I can carry with the Raptor through all this. First gear, and also the first gear downshifts are smoother than the Raptor than the TRX. Oh, too much grip. That's what happens when you go in four-wheel high. Too much grip. I think for the lap, I'm gonna put them both in four-wheel high so everything's completely even. But if you want to have fun with the Raptor, it does still have two-wheel drive. The TRX only has four-wheel auto, does not have two-wheel drive, so you can still, you know, get the tail end to step out and everything in the TRX because it has so much power, but the Raptor, right, has that two-wheel drive fun aspect to it that the TRX doesn't have. So yeah, we are here at the end. I guess we'll do a little jump with the Raptor, and then we'll kind of fully sum things up. Clear? Okay, cool. Ooh, little pops out of the exhaust sound good. Okay, so we're still in manual mode. Okay, out of manual mode, full automatic. Woo! So the Raptor doesn't feel like it jumps as high as the TRX, and my guess is the TRX gets loaded up more, and so it kind of springs, like it squats down and then kind of springs out of the jump, whereas this just kind of sails. So the TRX feels like more thrilling to do the jump, and also it's faster, so it's easier to get up to speed. But I guess like final impressions for this before we do the lap, and again, the lap video will be a completely different video because the runtime of this will be too long. The TRX, you need to be a better driver for that truck. It's a lot more to handle. This, if you have never off-roaded in your life, you can hop into a Raptor and you can just go through and just destroy trails, and it's something that you can become a better driver and you'll be able to use more of the truck. The TRX, you can use more of the truck when you become a better driver, but if you're a bad driver, you might get yourself in a little bit of trouble. But if, let's just say that you're a good driver, right? And you have like good enough driving skill to drive the TRX. The TRX is a little bit more to handle. If you want a little bit more drama with your off-roading, TRX. But if you want to have an experience where you want to really push the truck to the limit and you just want to go as fast as possible and you want like precision, Raptor. So kind of, again, like I said, think about it as just something like a 911 GT3, right? That's all about precision. That's kind of what the Raptor's like. Whereas if you look at something like, you know, the new Mercedes AMG GT Black Series, that's also has a crazy fast lap time and everything around racetracks, but it's a lot heavier front engine, right? It's front mid-engine, but whatever. It's a lot heavier front engine, and it's a lot more to handle because it's rear-wheel drive with the engine in the front. Whereas, again, with the Raptor having the lighter weight and everything, even though it has lower power, it's a little bit easier to manage. So it just depends on which way you want to go. If you want precision, or I guess we'll call the TRX the hammer, right? If you just want pure brute strength and you're just going to muscle through everything.